Here we go. And we're live here on YouTube, like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And also, hello, my buddy Rich. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Mike.
1 week closer to Christmas.
1 week closer to Christmas. It seems like the busyness almost starts like Wednesday night, like Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday for me with the celebrating our wedding anniversary, and then that kind of 2 days of, and then making some Christmas cookies, and then kind of maybe 2 relaxing days, and then Christmas gatherings start happening. So
yeah, we
are rolling into the Christmas week.
So last week, yesterday, had a band concert for middle school band. Then I have 2 band choir concert Monday and a elementary school concert Tuesday, and then Friday I have a basketball game I have to do, and it's going to be a long week, but it means I only work 1 day Christmas week. So
okay, that's good. It sounds like a lot of comp. You're building up a lot of comp time.
I am, and I'm gonna use it. I got plenty of it.
No, I don't blame you.
I will by the end of the year. I will have more comp time than I have vacation time overall, and I'm just gonna start using stuff.
You gotta.
So.
Eventually, you can't bank that, and then they'll forget that you did all those hours, and then you won't get to use them.
Right. So, I have a spreadsheet.
That's good.
I have it all documented. So, yeah. Anyway, but with that, we got a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk a lot of football, college and NFL. Rich, what else we got?
Mike, we got to do a quick check-in on the NBA Cup. As we did pick teams to win. I don't know if we've watched any of the games, and probably won't. And we got a little bit of Cubs news to talk about, as they made a big trade today.
Yep.
As well as talking Masked Singer and esports. But Mike, what do we got to do first?
We got to roll that intro. What? Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, with that all being said, we have a poll question this week.
We do. We did. Our poll question was on the cereal side of a cereal breakfasty poll bracket. Sorry, and it was Reese's Puffs versus Captain Crunch.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I've looked at the results.
Yeah, Mike, I'll admit, when I posted the poll, I did Captain Crunch. But flipped my votes to a cereal that I've never eaten and I probably won't eat in Reese's Puffs, because I didn't want a Captain Crunch versus Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries matchup.
Yeah,
But I will tell you,
I don't know what
every time we've had Captain Crunch, just plain old Captain Crunch, in the poll, I have not voted for it. Yet it keeps winning.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get it.
How do you pick Captain Crunch over Reese's Puff cereal? Reese's Puffs taste like a Reese's in a bowl. You add some milk and it makes it delicious, and it's crunchy and it's great.
Exactly. I could have swore that Honey Nut Cheerios. I would choose Honey Nut Cheerios over Captain Crunch. Didn't happen. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Just
using
surprising.
Crunch Berries is a travesty. I can kind of understand it because crunch berries are delicious. But, so did you vote for Fruity Pebbles?
I did vote for Fruity Pebbles.
Wow.
I like Fruity Pebbles over Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
But the results are what they are, Mike. We got to honor the vote.
I guess.
So, your shout-outs. So, joining you and I in voting for Reese's Puffs is my brother, Josh Hendricks. For Captain Crunch, Sue Hart, Alex Cruz, Ashley Maria Shriepeck, Heather Marie, and Adam Baumgardner.
Yeah, I'm shocked on that.
So, Christmas week, it'll be Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries for a final on the cereal side of the bracket.
Does that mean the week after New Year's?
Yeah, so the week of New Year, so our show that covers New Year's, we'll have the cereal winner and the entree winner.
Okay.
So next week, Mike, I'll get the poll up probably tomorrow. We're going to go with an omelet or biscuits and gravy.
This is a
final.
This is a final, and this one I'm okay with the final. Like, this makes sense. And I know where I'm going to vote, but I'm not mad at either of these winning. I think one of them is a clear-cut better overall. But the people have shocked us before. Next week, are we going to find out that Captain Crunch is just the best breakfast food? Did we just spend the last year and a half to come up with Captain Crunch?
Or a variation of Captain Crunch.
Is the best breakfast food?
Could be the best breakfast food.
I'm not.
I'd like to think that an omelet or biscuits and gravy would get the edge, but we'll have to wait and find out, Mike. As will everybody else.
I don't know anymore. Fans, if you're watching, can you tell me, are you trolling us? Like, you've got to be trolling us on this. You know Rich and I, and you know that where we're going to vote, so you're just going to mess with us and vote the opposite? Okay, it's fine. You guys win. Captain Crunch wins. Okay, so, Rich, anything else on the poll question?
I do not. So, Mike, if you're there, Mike, and to our listeners, if you're wanting to vote in our poll questions, make sure to go over to our Facebook page, Balls and Sticks, and you can also find the polls on Mike and I's personal pages. Yep. So we'll try and share that out this week so we can get a good vote on that.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, so moving right along, the NFL. Let's hit the gridiron and go over week number 14. Mike, how'd those Chicago Bears do?
It was not a good game as the Bears lost 38-14. At one point in time, it was like, 314 yards to 2 yards of total offense?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Now, here's the deal. We always say you got to give a coach at least a year to get everything rolling all the way. Interim coaches, it's a little harder to do that with because they don't get a full year. I'm not. I said last week I am rooting for the Bears. Finally, I have not been rooting. I don't. Like, I have been rooting for them to lose because I wanted them. I wanted Matt Eberflus to have an excuse to leave. Because if he won out, it's hard to say that he deserves that. If he would have won out, it's hard to say that we have to fire him. So I'm good with it. But honestly, I'm not surprised by this outcome.
All right. Do you think that the GM survives? Because right now, any coach that you hired, as of now, he has 1 year left on his contract. So there's a chance the vicious cycle of drafting a quarterback 1 year, the coach gets fired, new coach gets hired, and then the next year,
GM gets fired.
The GM gets fired and has a coach and a rookie quarterback that he's inherited.
Here's some problems. Just got big problems. Lovie Smith. And I've said it. The last. How long have we been doing this show, Rich?
Just bring Lovie Smith back?
Lovie Smith is the answer. He's a winningest coach in history.
At least in recent history. He's probably the Bears' winningest coach. But you know what he isn't, Mike?
What?
He's not an offensive-minded coach. And every time we brought up a defensive-minded coach, you've said, no, we need an offensive-minded head coach.
But Lovie Smith proved that he could coach the offense.
How many offensive coordinators did he go through?
So? Did he win games?
He did win games.
What was his record leaving the Bears? What was it? His
last season was 10-6.
You fired a man for winning 10 games after taking you to a Super Bowl.
I think it was a couple years past that Super Bowl run.
Right.
But yeah.
I think the Bears needed to, and I've said, and I even when they fired Lovie, I wasn't happy with it. We weren't doing the show yet, but if you look at it, if the Bears would have treated Lovie Smith like the Steelers treat their head coaches,
mm-hmm.
The last 5 years are not what they are. Now, here's a problem. I'll put it out there. The Bears have... Lovie Smith makes you mediocre by default. What's the problem with mediocrity there, though, Rich? You and I both know it. You don't get drafts. You don't get draft picks. Would we have moved up to get... Like, how much more would we have to have given up to move up to get Justin Fields? To move up to get Mitch Trubisky? There's your problem. Part of the problem in the NFL is when you're mediocre as a coach, even if all you're doing is winning 10 games, you might not make the playoffs. But if you
or you're a one and done at 10 games.
Yeah. But you're never going to get that draft position that's going to make you a full contender. Or you're going to have to trade up so much for it that you can't use the other draft positions you have to make anything of it. So, do I want one of the greatest coaches we ever... Do I want somebody like that? Do I want a Mike Tomlin who doesn't have a losing record, but, you know, after his quarterback retired, they've struggled to find a quarterback, so they've struggled to find a way to be a true contender in the season? Or do I want this roller coasters that we're on, and it only takes 1 year to hit, but I don't think we're likely to see it hit. By the way, your best chance to make it hit was this year. Having someone coaching them other than Eberflus, if they would have done the right thing, by the way, we all know it, if they would have done the right thing, Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the Chicago Bears. Tell me I'm wrong. Because ain't nobody can.
He would have at least come and talked to the Bears. And there's reports out there that he wanted the Bears job. He wanted to come and talk with them.
He actually
but the job wasn't open.
And they said the job's not open. If the Bears had... the Bears' record is inverse of what it is right now. If Jim Harbaugh is the coach, it is we are at a 9-4 record. I believe that. The 5 games we lost with less than a score, 3 or 4 of which were last second plays. One was in overtime. Jim Harbaugh makes better decisions. Knows how to call a timeout.
And the fact is, most of the candidates they're probably going to be interviewing, like Mike Vrabel, Cliff Kingsbury, maybe even Ben Johnson, those guys could have been hired last year because all those same guys were available.
Yep.
And you chose to stick with Eberflus. So, but I mean,
now we're like you said, we're in this lame duck year for GM. We're heading into a lame duck year for a GM. If they don't hit, by the way, tell me what moves he's done that's been wrong.
The offensive line has been lacking. He still hasn't been able to build that offensive line.
That's been the story for.
But that's been the story
4 years, Rich.
The Montez Sweat trade was great. The trade with fleecing the Panthers to get Caleb Williams and a second-round pick this year was great. Is Trevon Edwards, the linebacker, really looking great? Would you have rather had seen David Montgomery in the backfield or DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, whoever?
But again, is Swift being hurt by the lack of the offensive line?
He could be. And maybe probably David Montgomery isn't what he is.
David Montgomery was having problems with the offensive line last year or 2 years ago whenever they let him go. So I don't know.
At this point with Poles, you either need to give him a matching you need to give him an extension that matches the amount of years that you're giving the new coach.
Yep.
Or you need to let him go and you hire a new general manager and a coach out at the same time.
Or you let him go.
Where they're on the same timeline.
Craziest concept.
Mm-hmm.
Never going to happen because of a story we're going to talk about later. But last week I would have said, I should have asked last week, if they decide they're going to fire Ryan Poles
mm-hmm.
and hire Bill Belichick to be everything, are you on board?
I'd want to know for sure what the succession plan is, because Belichick would be a short-term move.
What if it's his son? What if it's what he's got? I hate saying it, but what if it's what he got in the story that we're going to talk about later?
No.
I agree. But either way, I'm just sitting here like, what do you do with the Bears right now? Like, if you're the Rich, you just got adopted, and they're putting you in charge of making decisions.
So I somehow rise up the ranks in the McCaskey Hallis family.
You find out that Amy actually is related to them, and that she's the favorite granddaughter, and they found out how much you love the Bears, and now you're the number one, and you get to make this decision.
I think I let Poles go. I think I'm letting him go.
Okay. That was not. I thought you were going the opposite direction, and you say we're going to double down on him. I think he's made some great moves. Personally, my argument would be we're doubling down. He gets to continue, and here's a 5-year contract. Here's a 5-year extension, or a 4-year extension, I guess is what it would be, because you'll give your coach Excuse me. You'll give your coach a 5-year contract.
I guess if I get to be in the room to decide who the coach is, and the guy I want has hesitations with working with Ryan Poles has got to go.
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
It just became you, so you have to uphold what the McClaskey family has said, which is we're letting Ryan take the reins. He is 100% the guy making this decision. So, whoever your candidate is, whoever your coaching candidate is likely going to be okay with.
Mm-hmm.
Because is he going to bring someone in that doesn't want to work with him?
I don't know. Everything that I'm reading is showing that Kevin Warren, the president of the Bears, and more on the business side of things, but is going to be involved in the hiring as the team president, has just as much as the decision as Ryan Poles does.
Yeah.
And it seems that a lot of the things I've been hearing is that because that's different than the original power structure that Poles was hired under, to where he reported to the owner, not to the president of the team.
Yep.
And now he's got to report to a president. He's not happy with that struggle because that's not why he took the job. He liked the hierarchy, the decision hierarchy that he was hired under.
Yeah.
So that's why I could see Poles being let go, because he loses a power struggle with the president.
Yeah. I can.
But more than likely, I think he probably will get, like what you're saying. I think he gets an extension, and it'll be at the same contract length as the coach.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm not mad. Okay, Rich, with that, let's move on to locks of the week. Our locks of the week last week, you picked the Bills over the Rams. Rich, the Rams pulled it off.
They did. You know,
your winning streak has hit its first speed bump.
You know, it was a gutsy pick with the Rams being in town, being at home. But, yeah. I mean, the Bills almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Rams were just dominating that game, and then Josh Allen just went off, put the team on his back, and got him to win 2 points and just ran out of time.
It really makes you think, I mean, do I have to rethink the Rams all of a sudden? And we'll get to why I say that in just a second, like literally in 2 seconds. Rich, how'd I do on the locks of the week?
All right. So, Mike, with that Rams win, I dropped to 8-6.
Yep.
Mike, you are still undefeated as the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Panthers 22-16. Upset specials, Mike. I said that the Chargers would beat the Chiefs. It was a close game, but those Kansas City Chiefs found a way to win again, 19-17, dropping me to 4-9.
Sometimes I wonder about Andy Reid, by the way. Literally took it down to 1 second on the clock. A bad snap causes you to lose that game, and everybody roasts you for it. But he pulls it off.
All right, Mike, you picked the Seahawks over the Cardinals. The Seahawks will win that divisional game 30-18, so you're up to 5. Maybe 5-8. No, I'll have to redo it. I'll have to check my records, check the prediction scorebook. But you improved, Mike.
I think you're at 5-9 as well. You're at 5. We're both at 5-9. So
I'll have it fixed. I will have it fixed for next week's.
Perfect. Rich, Thursday Night Football, we had the Rams versus the 49ers in San Francisco. We both picked the Rams. Rams pulled it off 12-6. Do I have to rethink these Rams?
I think you will. This was not the outcome I was wanting.
Yeah.
Because I decided to start Matthew Stafford and Isaac Guerrero in that game, and nothing.
Not a touchdown scored in the game.
Nope, no touchdowns.
We had
if you had the field goal kickers, you had a great game.
6 field goals.
You had a good fantasy score, especially if you had the Rams kicker.
Yeah, so we were 12-7 is your record for Thursday night, and specialty games, and then I'm 11-8 on that. So, are the Rams a contender?
I think they are.
I
think they are.
Wow. Okay. Rich, it's week 15. Bears, Vikings. I think the Vikings probably win it, but I wouldn't count out the Bears. Again, I'm rooting for them still. I'm back to rooting for them because as a fan, I look at the schedule and I was saying, the only reason I was cheering against them previously was that I didn't want them to have to keep a head coach that needed to be fired. That is off the table. So now I'm game. Let's go.
All right, I'm going with the Vikings as well. Once again, we probably said it multiple times this year. A team that we at the beginning of the year, you probably wouldn't have taken the over on their wins.
No.
And they're 10-6, and they're a 11-win team now, or are they up to 10 wins?
They're 11.
Yeah, 11. They've definitely hit the over.
Yeah,
definitely hit the over at this point, and there's still 3 more games to go for them.
I'm amazed at how good of a team they are. You wouldn't have thought that Sam Darnold would be able. We all thought he was washed up. It shows you what a great coach could be, and the Bears still have yet to find one. With that lock of the week, Rich, I'm going to pick the Chiefs over the Browns. I got to keep that train moving. Got to keep my undefeated streak alive.
I don't mind it. I think sooner or later the Chiefs' luck in these one-score games or late-scoring games is going to come to an end, but I don't think it's going to be against the Cleveland Browns.
Is it because you don't know that
But who knows? Maybe famous Jameis goes off.
Is Jameis Winston gonna? Is Jesus gonna save Jameis Winston from pick sixes?
Against that Chiefs defense, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Rich, who you got for your lock of the week?
I'm going to go with the Falcons over the Raiders. I'm trying to pick a different team. Those Raiders are looking pretty bad, and if the Chiefs, I think the Falcons can go into Vegas and can right the ship and get back on the right side of the win column.
As we've talked about since Vegas has moved to Vegas, has become Vegas. Vegas is a destination city. Any team can have a home field advantage because people want to go there. And it's an easy excuse to say, hey, the Bears are in Vegas, let's go. So, upset special of the week. So I'm saying that if the Atlanta fans travel well, which they don't generally, but if they do, it can easily be a great place for an upset to happen. Upset of the week, or for a away team to win. Sorry, I messed that all up. I was thinking upsets of the week. I'm going to take the Steelers over the Eagles. I didn't like a lot of the picks this week. You had 2 that you were eyeing, Rich, that you told me. You said you had 2. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with the Panthers over the Cowboys. The Panthers have been playing good of late. They just coming up short. They've been giving a lot of teams a scare. They almost beat the Chiefs. That game against the Eagles was really close.
Okay.
So I think that they can. I think they can beat the Cowboys.
Okay. So the Thursday night game for next week, a week from yesterday, you're going to see the Chargers and the Broncos. I'm actually going to change this. The Broncos. Am I going to? It's in
Denver.
It's in Denver.
Yep.
The Broncos are doing surprisingly well this year.
They are.
I need to look.
It could be snowing. It could snow in Denver on next Thursday.
It could. I have to look at. I need to give me 2 seconds, Rich. I got to do.
Okay.
I got to do.
I'm gonna go with the Bolts because I think Jim Harbaugh has built a hard-nosed team, and that passing attack that you knew that the Chargers were always known for of airing the ball out, is starting to come. Has been showing up of lately. And they play good defense.
I'm changing it, Rich.
You're going to go with the Broncos.
I'm going to go with the Broncos. Here's why. They're
okay.
They're the home team. They are as of today, their record is exactly the same.
All right.
And the Broncos lost the first one. It's really hard to beat a team twice in one season in the NFL. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
I'm going to stick with the Superchargers. I like Jim Harbaugh. I like what Jim Harbaugh is doing in LA. He could have done this in Chicago.
Please don't remind me of that.
Yeah.
By the way, you want to talk about epic fails for the Bears? I still don't think that the Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes thing is that big of a deal. Nobody had Patrick Mahomes on their list. People actually looked at Mitch Trubisky as a quality quarterback. I was extremely happy when that draft happened. Was I wrong? Yeah. But Mitch Trubisky was a guy that people were looking at. There were 8 other teams that missed on Patrick Mahomes. And
there were a lot of teams that missed on Josh Allen.
And at the time,
Josh Allen was the same draft class.
Yeah. And at the same time, by the way, part 2 of that, the team that drafted him knew something. Andy Reid knew what he wanted. And they went up and got him. And nobody was looking at him except for Andy Reid. And they didn't need a quarterback at the time. They had Alex Smith, who people thought was gonna he's coming in under Andy Reid. This is where he's gonna and sparks were happening. He was doing things.
He was getting them to the playoffs. They were winning football games. If I remember correctly, I think the other team that was looking at Mahomes was Sean Payton's New Orleans Saints. You could have gone from Drew Brees to Patrick Mahomes.
The only 2 teams that were looking at him were teams that didn't need quarterbacks. They thought he was going to sit for 2 or 3 years. Both of those teams. Can you imagine if Patrick Mahomes would have sat for 2 or 3 years?
He sat for 1.
He sat for 1, which is good. Anyway, but I think the biggest mistakes the Bears have made in the last 20 years as an organization is not picking up Jim Harbaugh as our head coach in 2024. And I think that's probably in the last 20 years.
And firing Lovie Smith for going 10-6.
That's 1 and 2. And I don't know which is 1 and I don't know which is 2 at this point, but that is 1 and 2. Okay. With that, Rich, I have changed. I'm going to go with the Broncos. Are you ready to talk about power rankings?
I sure am, Mike. So we're just going to do our top 10 and our bottom 5.
We'll have the ELO and the power rankings updated next week. Everything will be good to go for next week as long as you get yours in. Rich won't be here.
He'll be there. They will be in there.
As a quick program note, it's just going to be me next week. So if you want to stop on by, give some likes, make some comments, I'm up for talking with people. And we'll see. Anyway, with that, let's talk. Do you want to talk number ones or do you want to talk number 32s?
Let's switch it up and let's go from the bottom up.
Okay.
Let's go from the bottom up today.
I got a team that we actually just talked about.
Okay.
Number 32. A team that isn't the home team. The Vegas Raiders.
I'm not that far off on the Vegas Raiders, but I put the New York Football Giants here.
Okay. At 31 is where I put the Football Giants.
Yeah, this is where I have the Raiders. For me, they have the same exact records, and in my eyes, they both beat the Browns. And in my opinion, I think the Ravens are better than the Seahawks. So that's why I get the edge. Even though it was a fluke win, I like their victory over the Ravens more than a victory over the Seahawks.
Yeah, but again, I think that the Seahawks are slightly underrated. We'll see where we are with them later. At 30, Rich. J.
I have, yep.
E. T. S. Jets.
Ooh.
They have this is worse than Michael Jordan going to the Wizards.
At least that team made the playoffs. This has just been terrible. Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked good.
The team,
his power struggle with the team hasn't looked good.
Here's my question: does Aaron, even if he wants out, and I think his contract is up, or he's asking for a trade, either way, he gets out of there. Does anybody want him?
I don't know where he goes.
Anybody in the NFL, raise your hand if you want this version of Aaron Rodgers. The man we've seen the last 5 years take a dump on his team in the offseason half the time, act like he owns the team and that they owe him more than they owe anybody else.
Talk about how you need to stop listening to the media, yet you go on a show weekly yourself saying how you need to commit to the team, and you go on vacation during minicamp.
Yeah.
For a portion of the training camp.
How do you want this guy on your team? Like, somebody in the NFL, raise your hand and let me know. I'm waiting. As a fan base, you don't want him on your team, I don't think. Do you?
I don't know where he could go, because he's not going to go be a backup.
Nope. And where would he fit as a good spot as a starter?
I'm not seeing it, Mike, unless a team starter gets hurt. I don't even think he could follow the same path that Brett Favre did and go up to Minnesota.
Nope.
Let's say the Vikings don't want to pay Darnold, and they don't think J.J. McCarthy, and they think McCarthy needs another year. I don't think the Vikings would be a good fit for him.
The Vikings wanted to start McCarthy this year. If it wasn't for him getting hurt in the offseason, he would have been fine. He would have started. Aaron looks terrible. He set that team back 5 to 10 years at best. And there's the amount of parity in the NFL right now. It is not uncommon to hear people say any team is 5 years from making a Super Bowl run.
Not the Jets.
Not the Jets. And I think half of the reason is because Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, having to have his guys come in.
I don't know what to do with this team. The Jets are bad anyway. Normally the Jets are in our bottom 5 or at least bottom 10. With the dysfunction, as we start making these power rankings, not just about what have you done for me lately, but also what's your future look like? Which towards the end of the season, my bottom 5 tends to turn into that. What's your future look like? I think
at least the Raiders and the Giants, you have a top pick. But the Jets probably need a quarterback, but if they're going to stick with Rodgers one more year because they don't want to pay him to not play, you're not going to. You're going to probably take a piece. You're going to draft as if you're contending right away, and not trying to build for the future.
Yeah, I think the Jets quickly become 32. I don't see them winning a game. And yeah, I don't know what to do about it. It's sad for them, and I feel terrible for them, but I don't think that they end up anywhere near. I don't think they have a way to even get out of the bottom 5 at the rest of the season. Even if they win out, I don't know that they end up at above the bottom 5. So, Rich, who you got at 29?
29, I put the Jacksonville Jaguars here.
I don't mind that pick. Actually, I'm going back to the Carolina Panthers.
Okay. I think they have the same record as the Jaguars.
They do.
These teams, for me, 25 through 29, all have the same record.
Yep.
So I am doing it as, what have you done lately? And I think the Panthers have played better than the teams that I have ranked below them. So the Carolina Panthers are not in my not in the bottom 5.
Okay, and that's fine. At 28, I have the Tennessee Titans.
That's where I went with the Titans.
Okay. They feel like they don't know where they're going, and they don't have an identity anymore. That's the problem. You lost. They let Derrick Henry go. You let Derrick Henry go, and what do you have for an identity on your team anymore?
You let Mike Vrabel go, a good big culture guy.
Yeah.
You let him go.
I'm not sure where to take this team.
They're probably another team where you're kind of scratching your head as far as where are they going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah. And that's the bottom 5.
Yep.
So.
Yep. For comparison, Mike, I put the Panthers all the way up to 25.
I put the Jags at 27.
Okay.
So not
that's why I have the Patriots. But Mike, where do you have the Chicago Bears after this ugly loss against the San Francisco 49ers? If I remember correctly, Mike, last week you had them at 22.
I do. I probably... They're above the Browns, which means they have to be 24.
That's where I have them. And I'm almost... they're the only 4-9 team left in the league.
Yeah.
But I'm almost ready to start playing the hypothetical games. If two teams played each other, would they win? I think they could beat the Saints, and there's a part of me that thinks they can beat Dallas.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could beat the Saints and they could beat the Dallas. Again, they might win a game or two here at the end of the season. We have 3 more games against division rivals. We have...
and sometimes anything can happen in a divisional game.
Yeah, anything can happen in a divisional game. And we have Seattle, who probably... I think they're the worst 8-5 team in the league.
But they're leading that division because they're 8-5.
Yeah.
Barely. But they are leading that division.
But they are the worst 8-5 team in the league. So... I think the Bears can win that game. So I think then the Bears move up to 5-8.
And then maybe that last game of the year in Green Bay.
Oh yeah,
they darn near beat the Packers in Chicago. It's like a blocked field goal.
We tied the Vikings. We got darn close with the Rams. And now and then we have the Packers, who we were neck and neck with. And then and Seattle. These are our the last games we have. Any of those games they can win. Any of them.
So if they, not to go back, not to open up a can of worms, Mike, if they lose out, does that all but kill Thomas Brown's chance at getting the head coaching job?
It does.
Versus if they win out or go 500.
It does. It 100% does. He like at that point, and it might even hurt his chances at being offensive coordinator next year. So it's kind of time to put up or shut up.
All right, Mike, from the bottom 5, we go to the top 5.
Number 1, I got the Detroit Lions. Best team in the league.
I agree. Number 2, I put the Kansas City Chiefs here.
Yeah, they I had them out of the top 2 for a few weeks. I don't think they climbed into the top 2. I think the other my number 2 team fell out of the top 2.
I can agree with that. I think I can agree with that. I put the Buffalo Bills at number 3.
Nope. I actually have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 3, Rich.
Okay.
You just picked what my number 2 team was, but the losing games like that, you're down. Yeah, I think the Eagles are at 3. I have the Bills at 4. Rich, who you got at 4?
I put the Minnesota Vikings.
I like that. I think I have a hard time putting 2 teams in the same division in the top 4 even. So I actually have the Vikings at 5. It's a rough spot to be in, but guess who I have at 6? Rich.
Well, before we get there, 5 is where I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
But number 6...
Wait. So...
They have a better... Yes, the Bills are 10-3, while the Vikings and Eagles are 11-2.
That's not what I wasn't even talking the Bills. I'm talking your Eagles over Vikings argument here.
Yeah.
Or your Vikings over Eagles argument.
Hmm?
So I'm going to take it that you are still not using your playoff metric yet.
I am not.
Okay, because normally
it probably is, but it probably is. But yeah, right now the Eagles are winning their division while the Vikings are a wild card team.
Then how do you have the Viking? How do you have the Eagle? I mean. So because you're not using that metric currently. That's more what I was shocked about. I'm not shocked about where you have that you have them in different spots.
You know what?
Different order.
The Vikings have been winning games more convincingly, where the Eagles are have been winning closer games.
Yep.
A win's a win, just like those 12-1 Chiefs.
Yeah, you're okay.
I like the more convincing wins that the Vikings are getting, and I think I'm maybe giving the Vikings some extra points for exceeding my expectations of what I had for them this year.
I can buy that. I do like that argument. So at number 6, Rich, who do you got?
I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, another team that is far exceeding my expectations.
Rich, are you feeling okay?
I don't like having them this far, but you got to give credit where it's due. I would have never thought that with a quarterback rotation of Fields and Wilson, back to Fields and Wilson being kind of mixing and matching, all going back and forth all year, that they'd have 10 wins. But here we are.
If anybody knows Rich and you're near him and you're watching this, can you check him? Like, he might have a fever because he hates.
I hate the Steelers. I really do.
Rich, I'm at this. I'm also shocked because this is exactly where I have them. Yeah, they've been winning games and they've been doing great. And when you have a juggernaut like Mike Tomlin as your head coach, man, good things happen for you. At number 7, I have the Green Bay Packers.
Me too.
3 teams in one division in the top 10. That is nuts. Let's move on to number 7. I have the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm kind of surprised that you have the Baltimore Ravens this high.
Okay.
We're way off on this one, Mike. Way off.
Rich, we've hit the 8-5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The 8-5 teams, I think a quarterback makes the biggest difference of these 8-5 teams. And I think the best quarterback of the 8-5 teams, Lamar Jackson.
I can give you that. So for comparison, Mike, because the Ravens are not going to come up in my top 10, I'll tell you where they're at in mine.
Okay.
Number 13.
Wow.
Number 13.
Okay, that's shocking. You are generally Ravens.
I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to the Ravens.
Wow.
But
We are swapping positions this week. It's crazy. Okay. Give me some, talk me out of this. Talk me out of it. Really,
okay.
I think
let me bring up the standings real quick, I guess.
Okay.
Real quick here. So, just the way I'm looking at it, I have them ranked as my last 8-5 team.
Okay.
That's the way I have it for whatever reason, I think. But using the playoff metric, Mike, do you know what team doesn't? Okay, I'm sorry. Yep, they are currently the number 5 seed. So yes, they by record-wise and scheduled tiebreakers, they are in the playoffs.
Yep.
But the teams that I have ranked above them are also in the playoffs.
Okay, and that's fine.
Higher seeding. And in all honesty, the teams I have ranked above them, the Denver Broncos, the Commanders, the Seahawks, they're all doing a lot better than I thought they would. And the Chargers, for that matter.
And I can, you know what, I can get behind, that, but I have a hard time because, are the Broncos above the
Broncos are above the cut line. If the playoff started today,
so
they would be the number 7 seed.
But so the Broncos and the Chargers are both teams at 8-5 that have a lower record than, or that are lower seeded.
They will have a lower seed, yes.
And the Commanders would have a lower seed. Now it's a different division, or it's a different conference, and the AFC.
The Commanders are a number 7 seeded team.
The NFC is nuts, but we'll get out of it.
Maybe next week when you're doing the power, when I give you my power rankings to read off, maybe the Ravens will be higher.
Yeah.
Maybe the Ravens will be higher, but for a long time, I think the past couple weeks I've been giving them the benefit of the doubt of they've had a tough schedule. The record, they may not have the best record, but they've been playing a lot tougher schedule than those teams that are ranked above them.
Okay.
But that's where I have them right now. My number 8 team is the Superchargers.
Okay, and I don't mind that. I really do like what they're doing there. I think that team, if nothing more, Justin Herbert finally has a coach that knows how to use him. And that's why I have him ranked at number 9.
Okay. My number 9 team is for the moment, the division-leading Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, so I forgot that the Seahawks were the division leaders in that division. That division is so terrible. I have them ranked 13th.
Okay.
I just do. So I actually have them my lowest of the 8-5 teams.
Oh, and the thing is, with a lot of division games coming up, it could flip on who's the division leader.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, Rich, who do you have at 10?
Who'd you put at 9?
I said the Superchargers.
My apologies. Okay, wrapping up the top 10, I put the Commanders here.
Okay, guess what? I agree.
Okay.
At 11, I have the Denver Broncos.
Me too. I put the Texans at 12.
So 10, 11, 12, we are identical on.
And we flipped our number 8 teams, basically.
13, well, kind of, yeah. You flipped your 9, I flipped your 9, and you flipped my 8. So, yeah. You know what? I don't mind it. I think, again,
depending on how this week's games go, maybe the 8 and 5 teams shuffle the rank.
Ooh.
Or because I think inadvertently, I don't think I have any teams that are outside of the playoffs, outside of that top 14. So even though I'm not using that as a basis that you're automatically in that top 14 if you're making the playoffs. That's how it is right now, even though I haven't started doing that. Although you are starting to see posts about how teams have clinched a playoff spot or they've been eliminated. Yep. So it might be time to,
like the Niners, I believe,
put that into effect.
The Niners are quite close to being eliminated. I think I don't remember, where are they at? 6 and 7. Yeah, I think man, that's crazy. I don't know if they can. If the Niners, they haven't been mathematically eliminated, but they're pretty darn close. I'm just looking to see games this week if any of the 8 and 5 teams play each other. I don't believe so. So we could have all of the 8 and 5 teams back next week at 9 and 5.
And all different orders, really.
Yeah.
Because those Steelers and Eagles play each other this week. The Bills and the Lions play each other this week.
Yeah.
Seattle, Green Bay play each other this week, so that could really change the rankings. I don't think the Ravens are going to lose to the Giants.
Wow.
And
if all of the 8 and 5 teams win, that means we will then have 8 teams at 9 and 5.
Then you almost got to start looking at who they've lost to and who have they beaten.
Wow.
And that could be a reason to get the Ravens up, since they've have a tougher schedule.
I'm now even more bummed that you're not going to be here next week, Rich, because next week I think the power rankings are going to look better, and it's going to be more and more fun. But that's a deal for next week.
All right, so those were our power rankings. So tune in next week to see the differences in the ranking, to see the differences.
Rich, Mike, the only question I have is, have either of our teams been eliminated?
Yes.
Oh, which one?
The New York Knicks lost 100-108 to the Atlanta Hawks. Mike, your Milwaukee Bucks won their quarterfinal game 114-109 over the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
The semifinals, even though we won't be watching these games, will be the Thunder versus the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
And the Bucks will take on the 3-seeded Atlanta Hawks.
Okay. Rich, the NCAA football playoffs have been announced. Who do you like to win it?
You know, Mike, I'm going to go with a team that I think has an easy path to the Final Four, and I'm going to go with the University of Texas.
Okay, I am going to pick Georgia. I think Georgia has at least won in the last, I think, decade, so I'm going to go with that. I might talk hockey next week, but, outside of that, we'll see. With that, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about The Masked Singer. If you don't want to hear about it, thanks for joining us this week. We really do appreciate you. If you can, hit that like button on the YouTube, or
ring the bell to be reminded of our new videos being posted.
Like, subscribe. And, I am going to immediately after this upload all of the last, I think, 5 or 6 weeks worth of content that we haven't done that I haven't gotten uploaded. So I will get that done today. That's going to get uploaded. We're going to be back on all the podcast platforms. So if you're riding in your car, check us out there as well. We're going to talk a little news after the Masked Singer stuff, but actually,
let's do Masked Singer and let's do a time check.
We're at 1 hour already.
Okay, let's just go to the Masked Singer.
Okay.
You know that there's still more. There's good things to talk about with the Masked Singer. Maybe the Cubs do more, and it gives you something to talk about next week.
I am not talking Masked Singer next week. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna talk it because it's. I want your opinion, and I'm excited to see what you think when it happens. I don't know either. But Masked Singer this week we saw the semifinals. Which saw
the Strawberry Shortcake, the Buffaloes, and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Face off. Now, Mike, I truly thought that this was the finals, because I always recall that the finals was always 3 contestants, not 2. But maybe it's changed the past couple of years.
I don't remember.
Or the final was kind of like a 1-hour episode to where you had all 3 singers, they unmasked somebody, and then they did a second hour where the 2 finalists performed one more time, and then they voted on who was going to actually win.
Yeah.
But they're always changing the way they do it to keep the show fresh. So, Mike, we both have seen the show. We both know who unmasked, but who was your favorite performance of the night?
The Wasp. At this point, if the Wasp doesn't win, it may hurt. I would have a hard time.
It was tough, but I think I liked the Buffaloes. They did really well. They picked a good song for what they are.
I agree that they did, but I still think that the Wasp did amazing. I think he is the best they've had on the season in the series, bar none.
I don't know about the whole series as a whole.
So last year, Rich, they did go all the way to the last episode was just 2.
Oh.
Season 10. Last episode was just 2. Oh, the last episode had parts 1 and 2. So I'm sorry. The last episode had 4. But whatever.
Okay, so Mike, we've said who our favorite performances were. Did they send the right person home?
I'm biased on this one, Rich.
I'm sure you are.
I don't like groups. I think that the groups is unfair, and I think that the smack whatever they called it was even more unfair.
Because it was 3-on-1.
It's not just that it was 3-on-1, but I don't think I didn't think it was fair, and I didn't like it. I thought, don't get me wrong, the Buffaloes seem to be amazingly talented, and I don't think I think of all of the groups, I think they actually have been the best. I actually think that they should do an entire season of just groups.
Groups and duos?
Yeah. But that won't happen. Even though I don't agree with the way that it worked, yes, I think that they sent the right team home.
Okay.
Or the right person home.
So the Strawberry Shortcake was the lone singer on the totem pole and was sent home.
Yep.
I thought she did well in the battle, but it is hard when you have 3 people to kind of bounce the song back and forth against instead of one person taking the lead.
Yep.
So I thought she did well in the battle.
And she's one of your favorite. She's an actress from a show that you love.
She was.
So you recognized her.
I as I was as we were watching on the show, I didn't know her by name, but I know her from her character's name on the Goldbergs as Lainey.
Yeah.
With her ambassador being the ringmaster, who was the oldest sister on the Goldbergs.
Yep.
To where I thought, wouldn't it be funny if it was Lainey? And my wife just, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then, lo and behold, that's who it was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a definitive, it's that person. I know it's that person.
Yeah. But you also recognize her. Like I have never watched the Goldbergs. Just full disclosure, never watched it. So I didn't know who she was. Apparently, what she's now famous for is she's in a punk or a pop rock duo with her sister Allie. And she's Allie and AJ, and they do they're a rock duo. I don't know. But I don't listen to music except for when I'm hanging out with the high school kids on the bus ride, and half the time they're listening to music that I listen to. So I don't know.
Or at the very least, you can clearly say you don't listen to new music.
Yeah. Normally when I drive myself, I'm listening to podcasts anymore, but. Anyway,
yeah, I have it on the radio, but it's either on talk radio, like the sports talk radio, or it's classic or country. It's not new. It's not the new stuff. I
knew that Amy did, but I didn't know you were listening to country music nowadays.
Yeah, I listen to the country music.
Okay, good on you.
But I'm starting to wonder when the music that I do listen to when I'm on classic rock, when those songs are going to go from classic rock to oldies.
I mean, the music we listen to is now on classic rock radio. Depending on it depends on if they do first wave of classic rock, second wave, or now third wave of classic rock, which includes things like the Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's right. I am starting to hear the Chili Peppers and Green Day on classic rock.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah,
but that's what happened. That's what happens when you get up in your 40s, though.
I'm not in my 40s yet, Rich. I'm not in my 40s. I'm getting to it, but I still got 5 months. I got 5 months of my 30s.
All right, Mike. So before we go, do you have any shout-outs?
I mean, I would, but I don't want to steal yours.
All right. So I'm going to be taking next week off because of my wife and I's 14th wedding anniversary. So we made plans with our anniversary falling in the middle of the week. We made some plans to celebrate together, and with that rolling into Christmases or preparations for Christmas, I did not want to handcuff Mike into having an unsure date of when time that we would record. So I'm going to take the week off and let him make the call on when he's going to record. And
Saturday.
So and because I won't be here next week, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah, Rich, we will see you after Christmas. I'm a little bummed I don't get to see you next week, but I will try to make you proud and do a good show. Rich, it's crazy to think that it's been 14 years since you guys have been married. One of the funnest weddings I've ever been in, and we were gonna call next week's. I was gonna call next week's episode "Ugly" and wear an ugly Christmas sweater. But in fact, I think I'm gonna change it up. I think I have a different shirt I'm gonna wear.
Okay.
I think I do. I think I'm gonna wear that. I think I still have it, and I think I think I'm gonna wear it. So. With that, Rich, if you want, with that, I'll close us out. If you want to watch the show, we post it every week on YouTube. That's where we do it live. You can join us live if you would like to. We have, if you like or subscribe and hit that bell, like Rich said earlier, you'll be informed of when we go live. You can join us. If you comment in there, we'll give you a shout out. If you if you comment it throughout the week, I don't guarantee I'm going to get to the shout-outs from a video that's been posted already, so that's a little tougher on the YouTube side, as I don't see it every time. But if you have, if you want to participate in our poll question, check us out on Facebook.com/fans of balls and sticks. And Rich, if they're going to drive in their car, where should they check us out? And tell us what to do after that.
You know, Mike, look us up wherever you download all your other podcasts. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just to name a few. Mike, with all that being said, why don't you go ahead and roll that outro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.